Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government approves immediate reconstruction of Mokwa Bridge. Independent National Electoral Commission conducts by-elections in 12 states. And US presidents not able to secure Russia-Ukraine ceasefire at a high-stakes summit with Russia's president. President Bola Tinubu has approved the release of 16.7 billion naira for the immediate reconstruction of the Mokwa Bridge in Niger State, which was destroyed by flooding in May 2025. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, after meeting with his colleague, Minister of Works, David Umahi. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
3 months ago in Makwa, Niger State, a devastating flood occurred that claimed the lives of several persons and displaced hundreds of families. The bridge in Makwa, linking the northern and southern parts of the country, was not also spared. However, efforts by the federal government to ensure the rebuilding process of the affected Makwa Bridge has yielded results.
The president, before he traveled out yesterday, graciously approved the immediate reconstruction of the Mokwa Bridge, as requested by the Honorable Minister. He graciously approved, because of him. And also he requested himself and NSA the reconstruction of the washed away, 5-span bridge of Wokari in Taraba State, But he's a man that is very fair. And each time he does something, he touches the entire geopolitical zone.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation says the approval underscores the administration's responsiveness to urgent infrastructure needs.
My senatorial district, we want to thank Mr. President, and we want to thank the Honorable Minister of Works. We jointly discussed about this, and we approached Mr. President, and Mr. President graciously approved that bridge. It means a lot for the people of my state. 16.7 billion to reconstruct that Mokwa bridge. It's a 10-span bridge. We want to thank Mr. President, and I feel really very honored. And when we discussed with the president and said this means a lot for us, he quickly appended his signature. And so we feel very happy. The Minister of Works, even though he's from Ebonyi, he was the first set of people that sent people to Mokwa to go and look at what is happening there. And only yesterday or 2 days ago, Mr. President graciously approved that Mokwa Bridge for our people. We feel very, very honored for that. I know that even our governor will be very, very happy to hear this.
Thank you. There was reassurance here that the Tinubu administration's infrastructural projects are designed and being executed across the country. In Abakaliki, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, stakeholders in Ebonyi State have spoken the minds of their people and confidently expressed unrelenting support to the current administration, both at federal and state levels. At a town hall in Abakaliki, they stated that the ongoing infrastructure rebirth in the southeast informed their position to remain ambassadors of the renewed hope agenda. Here again is Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara.
The ambience of a happy people at the Christian Economical Center in Abakaliki made the engagement between the people and the federal government delegation led by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, that of a homecoming. He explained federal government policies and attributed their impact to the judicious implementation of the post-subsidy regime plan that is supporting the state and local governments to fast-track development.
Before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in as president, there is not any serious federal government project here in the Ebonyi State. And there are not so many federal government projects scattered around the southeast. Today, from Enugu to Abakaliki, Everywhere you follow, all the roads, all the bridges, all the flyovers have been done either by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or what your governors are doing. Now what this tells me is that because the president says he wants to collaborate with these governors, you are having peace and you are having money at the disposal of the state government to continue to deliver dividends of democracy to all of you.
Elated with the infrastructural renaissance in the southeast, Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwefuru promised to sustain efforts in delivering dividends of democracy as a worthy ambassador of the renewed hope.
I am happy that I am the governor at this period. You can see the reason, because I have a man who is the president of this country who believes in building subnationals through their leaders. And that is why this development is ongoing. You can see that Ebonyi has come of age, and we are competing with other states.
Ebonyi State is the fastest growing state in this country. Ebonyi State is the most peaceful state in this country.
In all the 5 states in Ebonyi State, in Southeast, only Ebonyi State, you don't have sit down at home on Monday. Cottage shall not be governor, because you have engaged all of us.
We are happy the way the affairs of the country has been piloted for the past 2 years plus.
Citizens Engagement Initiative is encouraging and expanding the two-way communication strategy and increasing direct feedback on government activities between the people and government. In Abakaliki, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Another news, Vice President Kashim Shettima has commended Zenith Bank for instilling a culture of innovation and integrity into Nigeria's financial standards. He made the remark in Lagos during the 35th anniversary of the bank, saying beyond performing very well in protecting Nigeria's wealth, the bank has also nurtured the nation's dreams.
So as we gather to celebrate Zenith Bank at 35, we are honoring a culture where innovation is instinct, where integrity is non-negotiable, and where service to humanity is as important as service to shareholders. On behalf of the government and people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, may the next 35 years find you still breaking barriers, still setting standards, and still proving that in Nigeria, greatness is not an exception, it's an expectation.
The Vice President attended the bank's anniversary as a proud alumnus of the financial institution, saying while some financial institutions exist mainly to expand their profit margins year after year, there are other banks that write history. The federal government has formally inaugurated the Committee on Collective Bargaining for the health sector, marking the official commencement of negotiations with major health sector unions and professional associations. The inauguration is in line with Articles 1 and 2 of the Guidelines on Collective Bargaining Agreement Machinery and reflects government's commitment to addressing critical workforce issues in the sector. The structured negotiations will engage key stakeholders, including the Nigerian Medical Association, the Joint Health Sector Union, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, among others. Discussions will focus on key issues such as remuneration, working conditions, professional development, and the welfare of the associations and unions. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, who led the inauguration, emphasized that the initiative aims to build a fair and substantial and sustainable framework for Nigeria's health workforce. Professor Pate added that the process is a crucial step towards ensuring that the concerns of health workers are addressed transparently and responsibly. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump was not able to secure a Ukraine-Russia ceasefire at a high-stakes summit with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, but insisted on Saturday that he would now target a full peace agreement to end the conflict. Francis Udojo has details.
3 hours of talks between the White House and Kremlin leaders at an Alaska airbase produced no breakthrough, but Trump and European leaders said they wanted a new summit that includes Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The European leaders, who had been wary of being left out of the Alaska meeting, held their own talks and said they supported the proposed three-way summit. Trump called the meeting extremely productive, with many points agreed, but did not offer specifics. He said, and I quote, "There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant." End of quote. Trump said without elaborating.
Extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
Рассчитывает, что сегодняшние договоренности станут опорной точкой не только для решения украинской проблемы, но и положат начало восстановлению деловых, прагматичных отношений между Россией и США. Очевидно, что рано или поздно нужно было выправлять ситуацию, переходить от конфронтации к диалогу.
Trump remained upbeat about meeting Putin in a post on his Truth Social platform. "A great and very successful day in Alaska," he proclaimed, adding that European leaders backed his plan for a three-way meeting with Putin and Zelensky. Trump, in agreement with the European leaders, stressed that to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes do not hold up, confirming his meeting with Zelensky on Monday. Zelensky, on his part, said Trump had laid out the main points of the summit and that he would go to the White House on Monday to discuss all of the details regarding ending the killing and the war. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Now, just 3 months after the first group of white South Africans arrived in the United States under a special refugee program, the Trump administration is now preparing to cap total refugee admissions at around 40,000 for 2026. Here again is Francis Udojo.
2 U.S. officials speaking on condition of anonymity said approximately 30,000 of those spots would be allocated to Afrikaners, a Dutch-descended minority in South Africa that President Trump has publicly prioritized for resettlement. The proposed limit will mark a major shift in the U.S. refugee policy. It is a significant drop from the 100,000 refugees admitted during President Joe Biden's final year in office, although higher than the 15,000 persons, sealing what Trump said in 2021 before leaving office. After returning to the White House in January, Trump temporarily froze refugee admissions. Weeks later, he launched a program specifically for Afrikaners, claiming the group faces racial discrimination and even the threat of genocide in the majority black South Africa.
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed.
The South African government has strongly rejected those claims. Officials there have accused Trump of politicizing immigration policy and spreading misinformation. If enacted, the cap will significantly reshape the U.S. refugee program and likely spark new debate over immigration priorities and racial bias. Meanwhile, Ghana has bid a final farewell to the 8 victims of one of the country's worst air disasters in more than a decade. The tragedy occurred when a military helicopter carrying senior government officials and crew vanished from radar shortly after taking off from the capital, Accra. On board were Defense Minister Edward Omane Boama, Environment Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, 4 other passengers and 2 crew members. The aircraft was en route to the gold mining town of Obuasi in the Ashanti region when it went down, killing all 8. At a national memorial service, President John Dramani Mahama paid tribute to the victims and pledged support for their families.
That I would like today to announce the government's decisions to honor the service of these individuals and secure the futures of those they left behind. I humbly request the spirit of compassion that is the hallmark of our nation for these bereaved families.
The cause of the crash remains under investigation by aviation authorities to determine what went wrong. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break. More reports in a moment. You're welcome back. Now, security forces have captured 2 top Ansaru leaders wanted for deadly attacks, including the 2022 Kuje prison break. National Security Advisor Nouri Badu, in a news conference in Abuja, confirmed the arrest of Mahmoud Mohammed Usman, also known as Abu Bara, and Abu Bakar Abba, also called Malam Mahmouda, the 2 men described as the central figures of the Ansaru terrorist network. Defense, The Rural Electrification Agency, REA, and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, have signed partnership to accelerate clean energy transition in Nigeria, drive innovation, and equip a new generation of skilled workers. The deal is expected to fast-track implementation of energizing education and innovation program, expanding skills developments, supporting state-level policy reforms, unlocking innovative financing, and advancing research and communication. In a statement, part of the deal includes UNDP and REA integrating university innovations and PO Unipods and making spaces into the energizing education program to turn universities and teaching hospitals into hubs of innovation. It will also scale the Next Gen initiative to train a new wave of clean energy professionals, to work with states to implement the Electricity Act effectively, leveraging blended finance to de-risk projects and attract private capital, as well as produce data-driven research to guide policy and promote clean energy adoptions. Now let's go back to one of our earlier stories, the summit between President of the United States, Donald Trump, and Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's going to speak to us more about the summit, and he is Professor Mukhtar Imam, an expert on diplomacy and international relations, who's joining us from Kano via Zoom. Hello, Prof. Welcome to NTA International. Professor Mukhtar, if you can hear me, you're on NTA International. Welcome. All right, not quite with Mr. Professor Mukhtar as of yet. Let's move on with news for now. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered a comprehensive institutional review of the 128-page Amnesty International report titled A Decade of Impunity, Attacks and Unlawful Killings in Southeast Nigeria. A statement by the force notes that the report alleges patterns of extrajudicial killings and human rights violations by the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies in the southeast. In line with its commitment to transparency, accountability and professionalism, the IGP directed relevant departments and affected field formations to conduct a meticulous line-by-line assessment of the report. This review involves cross-checking the allegations against operational records, field intelligence and situation reports from police commands and technical units in the southeast. While affirming the force's commitment to upholding citizens' rights, the IGP also notes the previous Amnesty International reports have at times contained inaccuracies and sweeping generalizations. He assures that the ongoing review will be evidence-driven, with a detailed response to follow, reflecting the Nigeria Police Force dedication to facts, institutional integrity, and constructive engagements. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has called on INEC to improve on the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, in future elections. Good Luck Naini reports that the governor made the remark after exercising his franchise at Ward 2, Unit 1, Udomi Primary School in Esan Central Local Government area.
The by-elections held in 51 wards in 5 local government areas of Edo Central Senatorial District, and the governor exercised his franchise at Ward 2, Unit 1, Udomi Uwesa, and commended the process but raised concerns due to the glitches associated with the BVAS. He sues for improvements on the BVAS in subsequent elections.
I just voted. You can see the frustration. The BVAS is just too slow. It takes a lot of time before you can log in. It's a big problem. So I think INEC need to look into this.
NTA News also captured the coordinator office of Edo State First Lady Edesli Okpebholo Anani and other voters casting their ballots. Earlier, accreditation and voting went on simultaneously from 7:30 a.m. at Unit 345 in Egwari Primary School and Unit 13 at Model Primary Health Care Center, Usenu Irua, Esan Central. Frank Obehi is among some early voters who commended the process.
It was very easy for me to vote because after doing the accreditation, I just voted and I'm about going home now.
Everything is going on well. INEC is doing great. The agents are here. And the people are coming out to vote. So far, so good, and we expect it to be so.
At Ward 1 Uromi and others in Arwe Uromi, the exercise was also hitch-free. The situation was same at Unit 5 Uwesa, Esan Central, recording an impressive turnout of prospective voters. They were agents of the contesting political parties and security presence in areas monitored. From Irua, Good Luck Inaini, NTA News.
And from Jigawa State, correspondent Awal Mohammed Kazaure reports that the by-election for the Babura Garki Federal Constituency recorded a high turnout as early as this morning. Voters turn out at different polling units to check their names on the register and patiently queued up to cast their votes for their preferred candidates. Here is a report.
The Babura Garki Federal Constituency by-election kicked off in good time as scheduled, with voting conducted under a peaceful atmosphere. At the polling units visited, election officials were seen accrediting voters before they proceeded to cast their ballots. There was also a visible presence of security personnel ensuring orderliness and boosting voters' confidence in the electoral process. At the Arewa Primary School polling unit in Babura, the NTA crew caught up with the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Suwaiba Said, who expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the INEC officials, as well as high level of cooperation from electorates.
I'm satisfied because you can see that they are all out and they are ready for this voting activity. Voting is taking place everywhere right now. In fact, some of the posts that has no turnout, the INEC people are there waiting for people to actually come out and cast their
Voters' turnout has been described as impressive, particularly among women who turn out in large numbers across the constituency.
We are very happy. The election is very peaceful. We thank INEC and the security officials for the peaceful election.
The by-election is expected to produce a new representative for Babura Garki Federal Constituency, following the vacancy created after the death of the former House member. In Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Shehu Mohammed, has called on transport owners to prioritize periodic fleet renewals and proper vehicle maintenance following a tragic lone crash that claimed 12 lives at Samawa Village, Garun Malam local government area of Kano State along the Zaria-Kano Highway in the early hours of Friday, 15th August. Preliminary investigations revealed that the incident was caused by a mechanical fault, causing the cab to detach from the trailer body and resulting in loss of control. As a result, out of 19 people involved in the crash, 12 were killed, 5 injured, and 2 were rescued unharmed. The deceased have been deposited at Nasarawa Hospital mortuary, while the injured are receiving treatment at Kura General Hospital. While commiserating with the families of the deceased, the Corps Marshal emphasized that the recurring loss of lives from preventable crashes underscores the urgent need for haulage companies to adopt modern fleet renewal practices and adhere to safety regulations. And with that, we conclude the news on NT International. Thank you for watching. I am Dennis Adegunloye.